Hello everybody, this is Uhfgood, and today we are continuing going through Blender 3D Noob to Pro, uh, the wiki book that was based on earlier versions of Blender and has not yet been updated to, in some cases, to 2.6, 2.7, but most certainly has not been updated to 2.8. And I'm working with an earlier version of Blender 2.80 beta because it's the one that came with Armory 0.6, which is the current version of Armory, which I can't really use right now. But I'm just going ahead, and since I have it, instead of downloading to try to download the latest version of Blender, I'm just going to go ahead and use it until a new version of Armory comes out, because I'm still hoping to use Armory as my game engine of choice. Now, what were we doing this last one? Guess what? Again, I was intending to do it, but again, I, I, uh, I didn't start the stupid timer, and I'm already a minute in. That's okay. I'm gonna base uh, all my videos on 10 minutes, even though I'm gonna go probably to 12 minutes, approximately 12 minutes. You know, I always do. I always go to 12 minutes, but then I end up going like 13 and 14 and sometimes 15 minutes. Not to mention the longer ones. But in any case, back to our deal. Now, here, let me go back to the contents real. What? What the what? Oh, I was at the table of contents. Okay, so here at the table of contents, Unit 1, right? And we're almost to Unit 2, basic modeling and shading, which will be really more. There'll be tutorials. I'll actually be working in Blender versus just kind of getting familiar with it. So we're still kind of getting familiar with it. I hope to be through this at the end of today's videos. We'll see, but I hope to be there so then I can break in between Unit 1 and 2 and I can do some story stuff. There might be a day or two of story work that I do. Um, you're seeing this probably on Tuesday, and then I'll have the break on Wednesday, maybe more if I feel like it, but then on uh, uh, on Thursday, then I might get back to the wiki book. Okay, so let's go through this. Let's see how fast we can actually go through this. Um, Hold on just a second. I was talking to Tim Bodette in the Ludum Ludum Dare Ludum Dare, whatever, however you want to pronounce it, LD channel on Afternet. So it's LUDUMDARE, hashtag. Anyways, I was talking to him about increasing my audience because, put it quite frankly, my videos are quite boring. Actually, they're not really 100% boring, I'm sure, and I'm sure there's not a lot of people that have seen it yet. So as time grows, more people will see it, and maybe they'll find value in it. So he was responding to me. That's why that thing was blinking down here. So just give me a second here. Do do do. Really different reasons. Wait for failures. Yes. Idea of Okay, back to this. I'm wasting time. Sorry, I'm wasting time, people. Um, that's the nature of it. It's sort of like if I was actually live streaming right now, um, I'd be doing this stuff sort of thing all the time. At least if I'm doing the video and I got a timer here, I am kind of staying on task. So Introduction. In this module, you'll learn some basics about operating in object mode. This is normally the initial mode Blender is in when you open a new document. It's a mode where you operate on whole objects rather than on their parts. Many of the conventions involving selection and manipulation of objects or parts of objects apply to other modes as well, so this is a good place to become familiar with those conventions. Open a new document, confirm you're in object mode by checking the mode menu. Select the default cube by clicking on it with the left mouse button, not right mouse button. See, that used to be. Okay, so let's open Blender up. I'm sure it's not going to have you do a whole bunch of stuff in here, but we'll see. We'll see. Okay, it's general. And now, of course, it's automatically selected, but let's do something here. And let's resize this. Again, I just have this area because usually when I go to the edge of a window, the mouse disappears onto the other monitor, and so I leave this here so that it doesn't do that very much. Okay, so let's also do the thing here where I do this and I do that and I do that and I boom, like that. Okay, so let's left click. Let's not left click. I don't know if you, pardon my head for going out of view. I don't know if you notice right here, but that thing's like twitching, like it's moving or something. You notice that? Weird. I don't know if you can tell that in the deal there, because it's the video is 720p, but my desktop is 1080p. So okay, so we, instead of the right mouse button, which was what was in 2.79 and before, which now comes up with a menu, now it's this. And let's go ahead and go into, I don't know, let's go into shading mode here. This is interesting here. If you notice, the grid is kind of see-through here. Oh, that's because, that's right, that's because it's actually going through the grid. Okay, so let us go to let's go back to this. You can see the orange outline. Cube selected in object mode. Object origin. When you select an object, you'll notice a round dot appears. Normally in the middle of the object, the same orange-yellow as the rest of the selection. This is the object's origin. I wonder if you see that origin here. You do, because that's where the 3D cursor is. The 3D cursor is around that little orange dot. You see that in there? Okay, let's zoom in, zoom out. Doesn't really... Oh, look. It's as small as the dot. Okay, that's alright. Okay, so this is the object's origin. It's the reference point for the object's local coordinate system. Certain kinds of edits to the object can cause this origin to end up at a position well outside the object. If that happens, operations like transformations applied with the reference to the origin may not behave as expected. However, Blender has capabilities to deal with this, and they will be explained when you need them. Multiple selection. You can select more than one object at a time. With the cube still selected, change your view until you can see both it and the default lamp. Select the lamp by clicking Shift right mouse button, so both it and the cube are selected. You will notice that the lamp takes on an orange-yellow color, but the cube now has a more reddish highlight. Okay, so again, this is the same way. So let's now we know by the middle mouse button we can use to kind of rotate the view here, and actually you can actually kind of brrr like that too if you want. Little cool widgets that they have here that makes things easier. So select. Now, okay, so this says shift, and so we do that, and then we do shift in that. And if you notice, like they said, this is orange. This is a little bit more of a redder orange. Okay, so the active object is the last one selected. The other objects can be part of the selection, but the reddish orange highlight indicates that they are not active. The properties window shows properties for the active object, not the entire selection. Although operations in the 3D view, like moving and deleting objects, will affect the entire selection. Some operations, like parenting, which you will learn about later, will set up a special relationship between the active object and the rest of the selection. So for these, the order of the selection of objects becomes important. You can remove the active object from the selection by with Shift right mouse button, which would be left. The small spot indicating the origin of the object's geometry stays highlighted in a yellow-orange color, even though the rest of the object loses selection highlight. If you do this to an inactive object, it will make that object active. So I can do a Shift, and in this case, left, and now we shifted to that. Oh, interesting. Wait. Oh, I see. Right. Oh, so if you do the shift and the left mouse button, now you're changing the which one's the active one. See? So that's kind of cool. What else does it say? Selecting Control I inverts the selection. Deselects was previously selected and selects everything else instead. Does not change the active object. So if I say, see if Control I works right here. Control I, see? Now the red, and now both of them. So that still works properly. Okay, so I know I didn't do a lot in this video, but stay tuned in the next video. We'll see if we can try to knock out the rest of that, because I really do want to wrap this up by the end of these videos today. So stay tuned. We stopped the timer, and now we stopped the